Today, we're diving into one of the most debated topics in biblical prophecy, Jesus' prediction of Jerusalem's destruction. Was it fulfilled when the Romans crushed the city in AD 70, or does Scripture point us to something more? This isn't just a history lesson. This question shapes how we understand the entire framework of biblical prophecy, the identity of the church, and even the return of Christ. To truly understand it, we must take a journey through Scripture, through history, and through theology. Let's start with the Old Testament. In Daniel 9:26, we read, "The people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary." This verse has sparked centuries of interpretation. Who is this ruler? Many identify him with a Roman figure, likely Titus, who led the armies that burned Jerusalem. Preterist interpreters say this was fulfilled by Titus and the Roman armies, and history agrees. In AD 70, the Roman legions destroyed Jerusalem and burned the Second Temple. The daily sacrifices ceased. Judaism, as it was practiced in the temple, ended. This marked a seismic shift in the religious landscape of the ancient world. But what about Daniel's abomination of desolation, mentioned in Daniel 9:27 and echoed by Jesus in Matthew 24? Some say it refers to pagan Roman standards being planted in the holy place. Others argue it points further ahead, to a future desecration. The ambiguity of the phrase fuels much of the ongoing debate. Now, listen to Jesus' chilling words in Matthew 24. "Do you see all these things? Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another." That prophecy was literally fulfilled. Not one stone of the temple building remains today. The Western Wall, often mistaken for part of the temple, is actually a retaining wall, not the temple itself. In Luke 21:20, Jesus adds, "When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, know that its desolation is near." And it happened just as he said. Roman armies circled the city during Passover in AD 70. According to historian Josephus, the siege was brutal, famine, infighting, and fire. It ended in utter ruin. Josephus, who was present during the siege, records that over 1 million people perished. Some were crucified outside the city walls. Others died of starvation. The temple, according to him, was set ablaze despite Titus's reported orders to preserve it. The gold in the temple melted and seeped into the cracks between the stones, motivating Roman soldiers to tear every stone apart to extract it. But Jesus also spoke of cosmic signs, his coming on the clouds, and angels gathering the elect. Were these metaphors for judgment or signs of a future global event? Preterists believe Jesus' warnings were fulfilled by 70 AD. The generation he spoke to lived to see it. Jesus even says in Matthew 24:34, "Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened." They interpret the coming on clouds not as a bodily return, but as judgment language, echoing Old Testament imagery used in Isaiah and Daniel. They point to real history. Christians fled to Pella, as Jesus warned in Matthew 24:16. The temple was destroyed. Rome trampled Jerusalem. Omens like comets and voices from the temple were recorded by Josephus. For them, 70 AD was the end of the Old Covenant era and the beginning of the church age. The church, now the dwelling place of God, replaced the temple as the center of worship. But futurists see a bigger picture. Yes, the temple fell, but Jesus spoke of more. Immediately after the tribulation, the sun will be darkened, the Son of Man will appear, and all nations will mourn. That didn't happen in AD 70, not literally. So futurists believe these point to Christ's second coming. They note Paul's teaching in 2 Thessalonians 2. The man of lawlessness sits in the temple of God, proclaiming to be God. That didn't happen in the first century. Some believe a third temple must be built for that to occur. This view holds that 70 AD was a shadow, a preview of the final end times judgment. The events of that day give us a prophetic blueprint of what's to come. The idea is that prophecy often functions in layers, near and far fulfillment. Scholars agree Jesus accurately predicted Jerusalem's fall, but critics argue the Gospels were written after 70 AD, turning prophecy into post-diction. Yet, if the Gospels were written later, why don't they ever say, "And it happened just as Jesus said"? Their silence suggests they were written before 70 AD. Even the Arch of Titus in Rome shows the temple treasures carried off, menorahs, trumpets, and sacred vessels. This wasn't just prophecy, it became global history, etched in stone for the world to see. So what does this mean for us today? If preterists are right, then Christ's kingdom has already come in power, and we live in the unfolding New Covenant era. Our call is to live faithfully and advance the gospel. If futurists are right, then the story isn't over. More trials, a rebuilt temple, the Antichrist, and Jesus' return in glory still lie ahead. The signs of the times, wars, rumors of wars, natural disasters take on renewed meaning. In either case, Jesus' words came true, and his promise to return still stands. As Matthew 24:35 says, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away." So where does that leave you? Are you ready for the return of the King? Whether you believe the prophecy is fulfilled or future, one truth remains: Jesus Christ keeps his promises. The fall of Jerusalem proves that. He warned, he waited, he judged, and he will come again. So be ready, watch, pray, stay faithful. And remember, what he says will come to pass. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you understand prophecy more clearly, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. And tell us in the comments, do you lean more preterist or futurist, and why? Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and above all, keep trusting the Word.